You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Welcome to From Beneath the Hollywood Sign. If you love old movies, Hollywood history, or the golden age of filmmaking, you've come to the right place. This is the podcast that talks about amazing stories of Tinseltown from another era and fascinating conversations with writer-producer Steve Cubine and actress-writer Nan McNamara.
So, Steve, did Ava Gardner and Howard Hughes have a good relationship?
Well, they did until he dislocated her jaw.
What?
Well, don't worry. She hit him back with an ashtray.
From Beneath the Hollywood Sign is the gin joint for you.
Recorded in Chicago, Illinois, with your hosts, Ken, Matt, Neal, and Jeff. This is Triviality.
All right, guys, everyone, welcome to the finals of our wrestling tournament here at Triviality. It's been long awaited. There's been a few bumps in the road. That's happening this time of year is what I hear. Joining me today is Neal. Neal, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited for night 2 of WrestleMania and getting oiled up, ready to cheer on my favorite superstars.
Yes, that was the reason we couldn't record earlier. There was an oil shortage, but everyone's all lathered up, hair's ready to go. We're doing good. Neal, why don't you remind everybody who the competitors are today? Let's introduce them and get them ready for the final.
Yes, I would love to. We have a great group of 5 competitors. We had 2 winners from our previous game, but we had a lot of tiebreakers because these competitors are just so good that we needed to have a jam-packed final, if we could. So our first competitor coming to us from Highwood, Illinois is Ken. How are you, Ken?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Doing well. Looks like you got a Stone Cold, is that a Stone Cold t-shirt you're wearing?
It's a Stone Cold Steve Harvey t-shirt.
Wow.
Because I love men's shirts.
Love it. Stone Cold Steve Harvey, got the nice mustache there. I love it. And if for people who maybe even didn't listen to your first episode, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what I'm going to be asking everyone today, your favorite in-ring wear as far as a wrestler's concerned, or ring wear, outfit, whatever you want to call it.
All right. I'm Ken from Highwood, Illinois. I'm in finance for the local county government up here for the health department. I'll be quick with my gear question because I never did answer my ring entrance question music from the last time. And kind of like you guys, I'm a Riot Fest guy myself. And I've always thought that Black Friday Rule by Flogging Molly would be great entrance music because it's got the opening chords that everybody can recognize once they know it. And then it builds to a crescendo that you can come out of the curtain with perfectly. So I've always thought Black Friday Rule would be my entrance music. And for gear, I'm a simple guy. Straight black trunks, short black boots, Minoru Suzuki is the way to go. Have a little fun with the hair, but the best gear. Simple.
Great choices. And I love that entrance music. So thank you for being here. Good luck today. Our next competitor coming to us from Aiken, South Carolina, a Savage Superstar on Patreon. That is Greg. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. Just remind people what you're up to and your favorite gear as well.
Yeah, so I'm from Aiken, South Carolina. I'm a software developer. I guess software developer by day, huge wrestling fan by night and by day, really. But as far as I guess the first ring gear that I thought of that really stood out to me was, I believe it was SummerSlam 2015. It was Seth Rollins in the all white gear. That was like a white jacket, white pants and boots. It was very striking. And I've always thought that was his best look. And he's kind of stepped up his game since then with his quote unquote drip. But I really like that 2015 one.
That is a great choice. He's got some really cool suits. I think he had a flame suit the other day that was really nice. You can't go wrong with Seth Rollins. And speaking of gear, love the Bret Hart shirt you have on right there.
That's right. Nice rival to Stone Cold. Maybe not to Steve Harvey, but certainly to Steve Austin.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you being here. Our next competitor coming to us from Albany, New York is a Not a Robot on Patreon and also a fellow podcaster over at Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. That is Scott Grimes. How are you, Scott?
I'm doing well. Happy to be back. It's always fun to be around fellow fans and like-minded people. So I'm excited to get this underway.
Awesome. And great job hosting the wrestling episode that our own Matt was on for Benchwarmers. And speaking of wrestling, how about your favorite gear?
Favorite gear, the first one that kind of came in my head when I was growing up that really stood out to me was Kane when he first kind of debuted, the red and the black and the long pants with the sleeves. Sometimes he had both sleeves. Sometimes he went sleeveless with the one sleeve, like for the Inferno match. But I always thought the Kane, the whole ensemble with the mask and everything was pretty scary as a kid.
Yeah, and I believe the townspeople where he was mayor also were scared by that when he wore it to work. So great choice on that one. So thanks for joining us. And just for the listeners, Scott Grimes will be Grimes for this recording because we have two Scotts. And our next competitor coming to us from San Diego, also a Not a Robot on Patreon, is Drew Davies. How are you, Drew?
Hi, I'm all right. How are you doing, Neal?
Doing well. Just remind the folks about yourself and also tell us your favorite gear.
All right. I'm a delivery driver by day, and in my spare time when I can, I'm a professional wrestling referee. So I referee in my local area, and I've been a fan since the early 2000s, but I tried to go back and watch what I can in history. Yeah.
And any favorites as far as gear is concerned?
Gear, I mean, things that are very iconic that I can think of right off the top of my head. Flair's robe is very iconic. Dusty's hat that he'd wear when he was in New York. But my favorite gear probably was during WrestleMania 22, the Rey Mysterio Aztec armor.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is a really good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think all the Mysterio comic book guys, those are all pretty classic gear. I'm a big fan of those. My favorite will always be the CM Punk Chicago flag inspired stuff, just because I'm a homer. So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, that's a good one too. And our final competitor, actually, to introduce here, coming from West Virginia for this episode, he will be known as Barber because he is also Scott, and that is Scott Barber, a Savage Superstar on Patreon. Thanks for joining us, Scott.
Hey, thanks for having me. I snuck in under the wire as one of the late entries, and I'm just happy to be among these really great competitors. I'm happy to do the job and put over the winner for this competition tonight.
Hey, that's a great way to look at things. How about you? Favorite gear at all during history?
Oh, yeah, it's got to be immediately what comes to mind is the iconic gear of Giant Gonzalez. I mean, just a big furry,
naked
Bigfoot
man
looking half naked man, half Bigfoot, hairy shoulders drawn on.
Yeah.
That's the look you got to go with, right?
Yeah.
That is really good. I guess Matt said his, the CM Punk. For me, I've always loved Road Warriors. I was them for Halloween with a friend. As kids, no one got who we were, but we enjoyed it, and our moms made us the shoulder pads and everything. That was great. And then as far as simplicity is concerned, always just loved the vest. Shirtless vest of Razor Ramon and the toothpick and gold chain. So always loved that.
We'd be remiss if we didn't mention the Shockmaster, obviously, is one of the classics. The Stormtrooper mask.
How George Lucas did not sue them, I do not know.
Oh, God.
I think if it had lasted more than 3 weeks, they might have gotten a letter, is what I would be guessing.
Matt, those are our competitors, Ken, Greg, Grimes, Drew, and Scott. And I'm super excited to hear these questions, but anything that you'd like to tell us before we get going?
No, so basically you guys are all just going to be answering questions. We're going to get through 10 questions. Whoever in the lead, they're going to move on to the final round where it'll be basically a game of knockout. So get one wrong, you're out until we have a champion. So you guys ready?
Already.
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
All right, so we're going with question 1. What WrestleMania main eventer had a reoccurring role on the 80s and 90s TV show Married with Children?
All right, everyone is locked in. That leaves Barber, so feel free to talk out loud.
Married with Children, regular. Main event at WrestleMania. It's a small Venn diagram, so it's someone from the late 80s, early 90s. Gosh. I'm coming up completely blank with this. So I'll just put myself out of my misery and say Roddy Piper.
Okay. Grimes.
I actually wasn't quite sure on this one either. This seemed like something that eluded me. I guess Scotch think alike because I also locked in with Roddy Piper.
Okay. Drew?
I believe this was a relative of the Bundy family, King Kong Bundy.
Greg?
So I really didn't watch Married with Children, so I had no idea. So I just guessed Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Ooh, that'd be a fun show, I think. Ken?
I went with WrestleMania 2 main eventer, King Kong Bundy.
And King Kong Bundy is correct. He's starting out with a hard one there.
Never crossed my mind, but as soon as I heard it, I knew it was right. Doggone.
All right, question 2. What Canadian city has Maple Leaf Wrestling based in it? So where is Maple Leaf Wrestling based?
All right. I'm tempted to go with the guess with hockey, Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'm going to say Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
All right, Drew going with Toronto. Scott Barber.
Yeah, that's what I went with too, is Toronto.
Mr. Grimes.
Toronto.
Greg.
I said Toronto.
Ken, do we have a clean sweep?
With a guess, we have a clean sweep of Toronto.
That's a pretty good guess because the answer is Toronto. Good job, everyone there. Moving on to question 3. While she was known by her real name at the end of her WCW tenure, what was Stacy Keibler known as while performing in WCW? Drew, you a big WCW 2000s fan? Nobody
I remember
was.
a little bit of it. 2 names are coming to my mind. It's either Miss Brooks or Miss Adams. I'm going to just take a guess with Miss Brooks.
Okay, going Miss Brooks. Scott Barber, what are you saying?
Yeah, I knew it was Miss something too, and I just guessed Miss Stacy for no good reason other than I couldn't come up with the other name.
All right, Miss Stacy there. Scott Barber already said his answer. Mr. Grimes.
This is Miss Hancock.
Greg.
I also said Miss Hancock.
And Ken.
I was thinking it was somebody else that I was going with Miss Congeniality.
Ooh, and the answer is Miss Hancock. Everyone's favorite secretary who danced or something. That was her gimmick.
Miss
Good
Congeniality is a great wrestling name, though. That would be I'd like that one.
I think that might have been Molly Holly in WCW, if I'm not mistaken.
That is a possibility too.
It might have been. She was Miss Madness for a while when Macho Man came back, and then she was Mona as well. I don't know if she was Miss Congeniality, but I do think that was someone in late WCW, but who really cares, right?
All right, we're going to move on to question 4. What was the nickname of the tournament at the 1998 Survivor Series to crown a new WWE champion?
I keep wanting to go back to, I remember in that era there was St. Valentine's Day Massacre, but that was obviously around Valentine's Day. I am totally blanking on the name of this tournament. I know it's not Brawl for All.
Yeah, that did not name a champion. Brawl for All. Bart Gunn.
The viewers were the champion. We got to see JBL get his ass beat.
Hey, it's Hall of Famer JBL. Put some respect on the name.
I don't have to. The championship chase. I'm just going to take the L.
Okay. We'll go with Greg next.
I said the Deadly Game tournament.
All right, Drew.
I also said the Deadly Games, and I remember the song. It was great.
Grimes.
Yeah, this was Corporate Rock, the sellout to win the title. It's the Deadly Games tournament.
And Scott Barber.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't come up with it, so I just said Brawl for It All for the laugh.
Okay. Yeah, the answer was Deadly Games. So points for a couple of you guys there. All right, question 5. At the 2005 Royal Rumble, what specific injuries did Mr. McMahon experience while making his way to the ring?
I was laughing, so I didn't get a chance to lock in before these guys did, just thinking about it. He tore both of his quads.
Sounds painful. Drew, what did you say?
I said that he tore both his quadriceps.
Greg?
I said he tore both of his quads sliding into the ring.
And Ken?
I realized that he tore his right quad, and he also tore his left quad.
Mm-hmm. And Scott?
Yeah, I just can picture him singing almost like a marionette with the strings cut in the ring, leaning against the ropes. He tore both quads.
Oh, yes, he tore both his quads, but you guys got all the points, so who really won there? We're doing great. One of the great moments in Royal Rumble history, I would say.
I would think that he would be a very difficult patient, whoever had to take care of him. Maybe it was Linda, but I feel like he would not be someone that you'd want to deal with.
No, I can still walk. Damn it!
Just breaking out of his casts like The Rock and Furious 7. Looks like after 5 questions, we have Greg, Grimes, and Drew tied at 4, Ken with 3, and Barber with 2.
All right, and moving on to question 6. Who was the winner of the inaugural Mae Young Classic in 2017?
I believe this was Kairi Sane, so I'm going to say that.
All right, going with Kairi Sane. I believe she is a pirate. Is that what she does? I think that's her. Greg, what did you say?
I said Kairi Sane.
Ken.
I went with Kairi Sane.
Grimes.
Kairi Sane.
And Scott Barber.
Clean sweep, Kairi Sane.
Clean sweep, everyone correct. Kairi Sane is correct. Moving on to question 7. What wrestler has the longest reign and the most reigns with the NWA Women's Championship? The same wrestler holds the same records for the WWE Women's Championship that was retired in 2010. The most winningest lady of all time.
All right, everyone is locked in. Greg, feel free to talk it out.
Okay, so this one's stumping me. NWA Women's title and WWE title is kind of stumping me as far as the era. So I feel I'm going to be either right on or way off by a couple of decades. I'll go ahead and say, to be quote unquote safe, Fabulous Moolah.
All right, going with Moolah. Ken, what did you say?
I also went with the Fabulous Moolah.
All right, Scott Barber.
That was my choice too. I couldn't. I was kind of like Greg. I couldn't really come up with anything better than that answer. But
all right, Grimes.
I wasn't positive, so when all else fails, go Fabulous Moolah. So that's what I did.
And Drew.
Moolah is money for the Queen sweep. Fabulous Moolah.
Yes, Moolah is money. 100% Fabulous Moolah is correct. So everyone gets that one there. All right, moving on to question 8. Who are the only 2 wrestlers to ever face one-on-one at 3 separate WrestleMania events?
I'm locked in if everybody else is.
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily have to be the main. It could be somewhere in it. All right, I know it's wrong, but I'll go ahead and take a hit and lock in.
All right, we'll start with you then. What did you say, Scott?
I couldn't come up with 3 times that they faced each other, but I know for sure 2, so I'll just go ahead and guess Undertaker and Shawn Michaels.
All right, Grimes?
So 15, 17, and 19 WrestleManias. I went with Stone Cold and The Rock.
All right, Drew?
I also went with the trifecta, Stone Cold and The Rock. Greg?
So I'm a little, I guess, concerned because I think there may be 2 answers for this.
I was confused by that too. Yeah, there's definitely one more matchup.
So I actually said the other matchup between The Undertaker and Triple H.
And Ken?
I went with The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Well, that one is definitely correct, and I'm pretty sure that Triple H and Undertaker is also correct. So we're going to give points for both of those.
Yeah, it kind of threw me for a minute, but I was like, well, I'll just pick, one of them. We can't go wrong.
All right, question 9. What name did Sami Zayn go by on the independent circuit?
Locked in.
Here's where I don't know anything. I don't know independent circuits at all. So I'll just go ahead and say pass on this one and let the smart guys in the room give me the answer.
All right. Scott is not familiar with the works of this man who is, I believe, at an orphanage in Africa now or wherever he ended up being at. Grimes, what did you say?
I said El Generico.
Drew.
Yes, I believe he had an orphanage, El Genetico.
Greg.
I said El Generico.
And Ken.
I have the T-shirt advertising the orphanage in Mexico. It's El Generico. Generic luchador.
Yeah, now that you say it, it sounds very familiar, but I would have never pulled that, though. Great job.
All right, and question 10. Bray Wyatt is the son of which former WWE superstar?
Locked in.
Seems like you guys know your lineage. Scott Barber, what do you say?
Half of the, I believe they were the U.S. Express and the WWE, Mike Rotundo.
Grimes.
Same answer, Mike Rotunda.
Drew?
Also one half of, I believe, Ted DiBiase's Money Incorporated. Mike Rotunda.
Greg.
I said Mike Rotunda.
All right. Ken?
And a member of the Varsity Club and second generation wrestler, Mike Rotunda.
The answer is Mike Rotundo. Great job, everyone.
Okay, after 10 questions, the scores are tightening here. It looks like we got Scott Barber with 5, Ken with 8, and tied at 9 each, Greg, Grimes, and Drew. And Matt, what is going to happen for these last, however many questions it takes?
So we're moving to a triple threat elimination style, I guess. If you get one wrong, you're out. So we're just going to ask questions until we have a champion. You guys ready?
Yeah,
I hope so.
All right. So we're going to start with some very famous tag teams. Who were the members of the legendary tag team, the American Males? Legendary. Ken knows it.
I am locked in.
Locked in?
Grimes does not look too confident.
No, I don't. Man, it sucks to go out this way. So
with really bad WCW tag teams.
Exactly. Yeah.
Grime, may I say, or dare I say, you are one of my favorite American males. If it doesn't.
Thank you. Much appreciated. I'm just going to go with, I'm going to say it was Buff Bagwell and Scott Norton.
Drew.
I said Marcus Bagwell and Scotty Riggs.
And Greg.
You were so close. Yeah, it's Marcus Bagwell and Scotty Riggs.
As you can see, I often get my Scots mixed up. I thought I was Barber for half of this.
I was almost going to say Scott Putski. Don't worry.
Trust me, Scott. You don't want to be that guy.
Scotty Too Hottie was actually the answer we were looking for. I'm sorry. No, Marcus Bagwell, Scotty Riggs. So great job to Drew and Greg. Moving on, we have to say goodbye to Grimes. Good effort so far, but we'll see. We're getting down to the last two. So we're going to stick with some tag teams. Who are members of the tag team Doom that wrestled in WCW in the late 80s?
I'm locked in.
And I'll go ahead if you're ready, Matt.
Yep.
All right. I have the team of Butch Reed and Ron Simmons.
All right. And Greg.
I had Butch Reed and Ron Simmons.
Ooh, man, you guys. I ramped up the difficulty a little bit here, but you guys you're up to it. So moving on to the next question. So TNA, they had a tag team champion once known as Team Pac-Man, consisting of which two wrestlers? One of the wrestlers is in quotations.
Locked in.
All right. I'm pretty sure on the quote-unquote wrestler. I think that was Adam Pac-Man Jones, I don't remember what position he played and what team he was on, but the football player. And I believe his partner was Ron the Truth Killings, aka R-Truth.
All right, so you're locking in with Pac-Man Jones and R-Truth / Ron Killings. Greg, and then Drew, what do you say?
I also said Ron the Truth Killings and Pac-Man Jones, the former cornerback for the Bengals, I believe.
For the Bengals, the Titans, I think he played for a few teams, but that is correct. So great job there. We're going to ask one more tag team question, talking about Rhythm and Blues. Who were the tag team members of Rhythm and Blues, a 1980s tag team?
Locked in.
Okay, I believe this is the Honky Tonk Man and Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Okay, yeah. Drew.
I also said Honky and the Hammer, Honky Tonk Man and Greg Valentine.
That is correct. Well, now for your next question. The ECW incident known as the Mass Transit Incident involved a young fan who was cut open by which notorious hardcore wrestler?
Locked in.
I believe that was New Jack of the Gangsters.
That's what I also said, New Jack.
Yep. If you're doing something wrong, it's usually New Jack. He's cutting people open. So we'll move on to the next question. Who became the first Cruiserweight champion when WWE brought the brand back in 2016?
Locked in.
Yep. So I was just writing it down. I think he was called TJ Perkins at this time.
All right. Andrew?
I believe he won the Cruiserweight Classic to get it. TJ Perkins.
The answer is TJ Perkins. So this next question is the last question that I have. So if you guys both get it correct, you guys are going to have to share the title like, I don't know, Rey Mysterio and CM Punk did or whatever.
We are the champions.
Yeah. Yeah, you get it on the weekends. He gets it on weekdays, however that is. But here is the final question for all the marbles. Who is the wrestler that has held the U.S. title the longest as recognized by the WWE?
I will lock in.
All the pressure's on you, Drew.
Longest reigning United States champion, correct?
Correct.
All right. I don't think I'm going to get this one. I'll take a guess. As recognized by WWE, Barry Windham.
Okay. And Greg.
And I hope this is the correct answer. If not, then I will share my dislike for this wrestler as one of my friends. I said the total package Lex Luger.
And the answer is Lex Luger. Greg is the champion.
Wow.
Lex Luger is recognized at 950 days as U.S. champion.
Wow.
That was my number 2 guess. Great job, Greg.
Congratulations
Thank you.
to Greg.
Wow.
Thank you very much. That was pure luck.
I want to say something, and this is craziness, Drew. So while Matt was asking questions, I don't know if we kept this in the show or not. That's going to be up to Ken. But I asked a question that was from an old magazine that was very incorrect. And I have the old magazine, and I was looking up another question in case Matt needed an extra one. And I was going to say, who was the son of wrestler Blackjack Mulligan, who was a wrestler known for National Wrestling Alliance and WCW, and it was going to be Barry Windham because he is on the cover of this poorly written wrestling magazine, and you just answered Barry Windham.
What year is that?
This is from 1985.
Don't you love that our studio just has wrestling magazines from 1985 laying around?
So when you
Just
said
on
Barry
the off
Windham,
chance.
while I was looking at him, my mind exploded. So
Well, let's get some final words from the competitors. Scott, you came up a little short today. Scott Barber, what are some final words of inspiration for the people?
It's a great honor to be with such great wrestling minds on this final. I didn't come anywhere close, but I knew going into it I wouldn't come anywhere close to competing for it. But always a pleasure to be on the podcast, and I appreciate the invite.
Grimes, it had to be frustrating being thwarted by Scotty Riggs. Any final words for the people?
Said by no one ever. No, yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thank you, first of all, you guys, for holding this tourney. Greg, congratulations. That was great, man. I knew this would be tough coming into it. I mean, Drew and I had to go into a tiebreaker in our game, for me to come on top on that one. So, Greg, I see a one-on-one matchup in our future. So I look forward to it if you want to defend that title at all.
Let's do it.
And then Ken, just missing out on the final there. Did you feel like you would have fared pretty well in that final?
I would have done pretty well in the final. Lex Luger I didn't know, so I would have lost no matter what. But much like the first show, I know very little Fed knowledge, and I feel like I did extremely well for not knowing much about the Fed, and not upset with how I did. And these guys are all great. And it's a great time both times. So I thank you guys very much for letting me join in.
Thanks so much, Ken. And Drew, so close. I could have asked any question. You probably had 50-50 there. So any final words?
Congratulations, Greg. It was a well-fought battle. It came down to the wire, and, my hat's off to you.
Greg, our new champion, just to let you know, these are defended 24/7 rules. So if anyone stops you, you do have to defend it. Trivia knowledge. Any words? How you feeling after the victory today?
Well, after that knowledge, I'll make sure to keep my door locked. Thankfully, there's, we're dealing with more quarantine situations. So hopefully not too many people will come around. But this has been great. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about wrestling at any time. So I always love these things. It was fantastic being with such like-minded wrestling fanatics. It's always a pleasure to do that. And just I guess my usual sign off is everybody please just try to be a little kinder to each other.
Such a nice way to end off. And thanks again to Nathan McQuinn, who wrote all these questions, who really helped out setting this whole thing up. So great job to him. Thank you again to Neal for hanging out, even though he's just kind of being the host. We appreciate it. And thanks finally to all the listeners, and all the Patreon supporters who kind of make these things possible. If you have an idea for a tournament, we're always looking for Patreon supporters to join in. I think we're doing an Oscars one coming up. We were talking about doing an in-sync one maybe. We'll do anything. So if you give us money, we'll do it, right Neal? Is that how it works?
As long as it's trivia based.
Yeah, we're the Ted DiBiase of podcasts, so show us the money, I guess. So on that note, thanks again to everybody. On behalf of all of our contestants and Neal, my name is Matt, and that was the Triviality Wrestling Tournament.